President Donald Trump meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. This is the second meeting between the two. We're joined tonight by Washington Post White House reporter Toulouse Olorunipa. Thanks so much for being here with us. Let's first start by talking about what's the purpose of this meeting between the two leaders.
Yeah, President Trump believes that only he and Kim Jong-un can reach a final agreement to really get the North Koreans to get rid of their nuclear weapons. Kim Jong-un is the one who makes the decisions in North Korea. President Trump really only trusts himself to negotiate one-on-one with leaders of other countries. So he believes that by having this sit down, he can both lower the temperature between the U.S. and North Korea, but also make some progress on getting the North Koreans to get rid of their nuclear weapons. The two leaders met last year. They put out a statement saying that they would move towards denuclearization, but we haven't seen a lot of action to follow up on that meeting.
And I know there's been some questions about what does denuclearization mean to North Korea. Are we expected to get any clearer a picture of that after this meeting?
That's one of the top goals for the U.S. government in this meeting. They want to come to an agreement about what exactly North Korea needs to do to move towards getting rid of its nuclear program. The U.S. government wants to make sure that they can get inspectors into North Korea to get a sense of what actually, what the nuclear program consists of and how they can actually start dismantling that. But it's not clear that the North Koreans agree on the terminology of denuclearization. They have said they also want not only sanctions relief, but they want to remove the nuclear umbrella from the Korean Peninsula, which would potentially require the U.S. to pull back its troops and its forces from South Korea, where we have tens of thousands of troops.
If there was to be an agreement between the U.S. and North Korea on denuclearization, how historic would that be?
This is something that the U.S. government has been pursuing for decades, so this would be a major breakthrough if we were able to see the follow-through. Now, we have to remember that there have been talks before between lower-level officials within the U.S. government and officials in North Korea in previous years, and they have made progress and they have gotten to the sense of coming to an agreement and putting out a joint document, but then the North Koreans would always renege on their promises, and the promises would always fall through. So we haven't gotten past that stage yet, but if President Trump were able to do that, that would be a historic achievement.
Let's go back to the first meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. What came out of that? Give us a refresher, if you will.
Yeah, so they did put out a statement saying that both countries agreed to move forward with the process of denuclearization. It was very broad, so we weren't sure what exactly that would mean. There were some smaller steps that the North Koreans took that were seen as signs of goodwill. The North Koreans returned some hostages, some American hostages that they were holding, and they also returned some of the remains of U.S. veterans who died in the Korean War decades ago. So that was seen as a sign of goodwill, but in terms of the actual process of denuclearization, there has not been very much progress.
There was, as you called it earlier, a bit of a skirmish between reporters and the leaders today during one of their meetings. What happened there? Explain that.
Yeah, there were two different press opportunities for the press to go in and see President Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un. During the first meeting, all of the press were allowed in, and a couple of reporters shouted questions and tried to get the president to answer about what he was doing and what kind of a meeting he wanted to have. And I think that may have set off the wrong emotions in the president. And when they tried to come in for the second meeting, about 4 of the reporters were kicked out and not allowed in. 4 U.S. reporters were told that because of the sensitive nature of the meeting and because in the past they had shouted out questions during the photo op, they were not allowed in, and that was seen as a sign of sort of press repression while President Trump was meeting with a leader whose country does not have a free press, that the U.S. government was not standing up for the free press in the U.S.
And now, while all of this is happening in Vietnam, back here at home, we have the testimony from Michael Cohen today. What do you make of that, with the president being the focus of that testimony, and yet he is halfway around the world while all this is playing out at home?
Yeah, the president has been paying close attention to the Michael Cohen drama on Capitol Hill. He has tweeted about it. It's clear that this is something that's on his mind, even as he's trying to negotiate what could potentially be a historic nuclear agreement. He is also focusing on the domestic issues. This is what's dominating the news cycle here in the U.S. So it's clear that this is a split screen that the president did not want to have. His former lawyer testifying that he committed crimes, while at the same time he's trying to negotiate a historic agreement in North Korea.
All right, 2 big stories to keep watching. Toulouse, as always, thanks for your insight.
Thank you.